Hey guys, welcome back to another video. John here with Redentopsych. Glad to be back with you to do another typing video. The few next typing videos are going to be from member requests. I asked my group, my Telegram group, if you guys want to join that, here's the link. I asked them what figures they wanted to be typed the most. I took 4 names to type. This is the first of the 4 that I've chosen. You guys had great suggestions, and I'm excited to do these next 4. This first one is the actor Cillian Murphy. I think it's Cillian Murphy, best known for his role in as Thomas Shelby in Peaky Blinders, and obviously in Oppenheimer, where he won an Oscar for his portrayal as the scientist Oppenheimer. So we're going to jump in. I have a few videos, interviews that I have not seen that I'll be analyzing in real time using communication vectors, primarily from Linda Behrens, some temperament analysis, largely cognitive function analysis as well, and some other things that are that we'll see if he demonstrates or not, with general traits, expressiveness, things like that. So let's dig into the first one here.
So if verse inhabits every Irish soul, then in a country pub, Cillian Murphy is among peers, as he would have it, just a man with a pint to lift and no fame to bear.
What is the meaning of Ireland
Oh man,
to you?
I don't think I can answer that question satisfactorily. It's defined who I am as a person, and my values. It's just home.
Home includes his wife of 20 years, 2 teenage sons, and Scout, a lab named for the character in To Kill a Mockingbird. That figures. Murphy has always let stories lead his path.
You find so much empathy in novels, you know, because there you are putting yourself into somebody else's point of view, and I've always been a big reader. When a movie can connect with someone and they feel seen or feel heard, or a novel can change somebody's life, or a piece of music, an album can change someone's life, and I've had all that happen to me, and that's the power of good art, I think.
There's a straight line from the music in the pub to Oppenheimer.
I think they're from the same source. I mean, I really do. I see it's all on a continuum. You know what I mean? It's just a form of expression.
Expression in the eyes of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the physicist who created the atom bomb, but never controlled it.
If they detonated too high in the air, the blast wouldn't be as powerful.
With respect, Dr. Oppenheimer, we'll take it from here.
I remember reading at the beginning about him that he was more riddle than answer. And I thought, oh, okay, wow. That's interesting.
I'm curious about your notes.
The riddle was in this script by writer-director Christopher Nolan, printed in red so it couldn't be photocopied.
I did genuinely think it's one of the greatest screenplays I'd ever read.
And you told him I'll do it.
I mean, I said I'd do it before I read it. I always say that.
That's quite a risk. Why would you do that?
It's always paid off for me, you know, in every film that I've worked with him on.
I'm not going back. I'm not going back.
There have been 6 Chris Nolan films for Murphy: Dunkirk, Inception, and 3 Batman titles.
Would you like to see my mask?
You told me that getting a film made and getting it seen is a miracle.
It is. And then if it's anyway good, that's a miracle. And then if it connects with audiences, that's a miracle. So it's a miracle upon miracle upon miracle to have a film like Oppenheimer. It really is.
Okay. There's a lot here so far, but I'll just point out a couple things. So the abstraction is coming out as he's describing the vision, the future, the themes of stories, and kind of looking at his life through that. It's an abstract approach, abstract mindset. Also, just physiologically with his face, there is this, he's kind of wide-eyed, kind of blankness there that is usually home to types who are a little bit less externally expressive, at least perhaps in social situations. So this could be an IJ type, an introverted, an INJ type, especially with the abstraction, so an INTJ, INFJ, or an INP type, INTP, INFP. My money would be on he's one of those four types, the abstraction and this kind of reserved. He also, this reservedness, he also seems to carefully formulate his answers the best he can, which is typically a introvert trait as well.
His Oppenheimer was not so much a miracle as hard work. He lost 28 pounds to get the silhouette. Then he rose to the character step by step over 6 months, reading, listening to Oppenheimer's lectures, and covering miles on the beach, performing for Scout.
I remember at one point I said to Chris, Chris, there appears to be, he appears to speak Dutch here, and I think he's giving a lecture in Dutch here. What are we going to do about that? And Chris said, you mean, what are you going to do about that?
De botsing tussen een alfadeltje en een atoom vangen voor een verschillende energie in de verbindingsopname in de relatieve translatie.
What's he saying?
Murphy says he put all he learned in the back of his mind and acted on instinct.
I think instinct is your most powerful tool that you have as an actor. Nothing must be predetermined, so therefore you mustn't have a plan about how you're going to play stuff. And I love that. It's like being buffeted by the wind and being buffeted by emotion.
You don't get to commit to sin, and then have us all feel sorry for you.
Emily Blunt plays Oppenheimer's tormented wife.
You pull yourself together.
He's very visceral to be in a scene with. It's like he transports you. He'll kidnap you in a scene.
My favorite acting moment of his in Oppenheimer is the scene after the bomb has been dropped, and he's addressing all of the people at Los Alamos.
The world will remember this day.
He somehow welds together the concept of being proud of what they did
Yes.
and regretting it very deeply,
Yes.
all at the same time.
I know.
It's too soon to determine what the results of the bombing are. But I'll bet the Japanese didn't like it.
No one moment is about one thing. And if you're as agile as someone like Cillian and as vulnerable and as clever, you can play it all. But I don't know if many people can do what he does.
Okay, that circumstantial description that Emily Blunt gave about what he's like on set, he's the one that transports you, that is typically going to be an SI any user thing in a creative environment, being the one who is tuning out the SE so they're not like as lost in the environment of the moment and are able to move into a mental space calmly and express from their research and from their preparation there. Typically going to be SI in NE, so like an NP type most likely. It's not impossible for like an NJ to do that, but less likely. Okay, so we'll stop that one there for now. Let's look at the next one. I grabbed one from a short interview from filmed several years ago. I think like 15 years ago, where Cillian Murphy's a bit younger. So let's see if we can find anything else in that one.
What do I think is sexy? Oh, I don't know. It's kind of subjective, really, isn't it? I don't know. I think intelligence is sexy, really. You know, being funny is sexy, I guess. I'm in this film called Inception that comes out in July 16th, and well, it's a Christopher Nolan film, and I guess there's this sort of secrecy surrounding it because it's a kind of a conceptual film, and I think with films like that, it's brilliant if you can just build the anticipation and keep it as much of it as a surprise as possible, because I think it'll be something very, very special.
Okay, more TI. We saw some TI in the other video as well. When asked a question or working through an answer, it's very much like a piece by piece thing, thought, dot, dot, dot. It's not necessarily this more unified theme that he's communicating, which is more of an extroverted thinking, introverted feeling thing. This is more of a TI, internal logic, internal thinking, trying to give a phrase or a thought at a time, hoping it kind of covers the space that you need to communicate. Now, I will say visually, just off my own experience and observations, he looks, sometimes I look at him, I see like INFJ, and sometimes I look at him, I see like INTP. I think he is probably a TIFE user. So far, we've seen good evidence for that. Just visually, he has this introverted, open, intuitive, big picture look that other types of those same types look like, and seems to be a TI user. So we'll keep going.
Everything needs to be immediate for people nowadays. They need to find out before the event what's happening. They need to read the script. Chris is quite old-fashioned in the way he makes films, and shoots them, and I think that's a refreshing thing. People just have to wait till the event. It makes it more of a kind of an event. Between Two Birds is a famous Irish novel from back in, probably written in the 50s by Flann O'Brien, and Brendan Gleeson has adapted it, and he's going to direct it, and he's got a load of Irish actors like Gabriel Byrne and Colin Farrell and myself to be in it, so hopefully we should be shooting that in the autumn. I've been very lucky to work with great directors, and the responsibility that it involves is quite staggering, really, and a bit scary. But I talked to Brendan Gleeson, who's actually directing Between Two Birds, and he said what'll happen is you'll find a piece of material and it'll become so precious to you, or you'll be so passionate about it that you won't want to let anybody else do it, and that's when you'll decide to become a director. And I think if that happens, then it's the right time to do it. But at the moment, I feel like I have a lot more to learn as an actor. You're just working with great people. You're just observing and absorbing all the time. So that's what I hope to do for another few years.
Okay, so one of the things that's emerging is some directness. Now, with an INFJ, for example, determining, seeing an INFJ as direct, particularly an INFJ who's an expressive, creative one, which many of them are, it can be very, very difficult to sparse out the direct versus informative vector. Likewise, for INTPs, particularly INTP males, it can be very difficult to recognize the informative communication because they are TI hero, and TI makes quote-unquote direct statements, but as you will see with INTPs, they can speak at length and fill out an incredible amount of context. He is not filling out very much context. His answers are to the point. They are also external, talking about Christopher Nolan, for example. This is how he does it. Keeping the mystery and the suspense will lead to the release of the movie. Inception, in this case, being more of an event. That's an NI statement, and some SE talking about the actions of other people and how that will lead to a collective experience. So he seems direct there when he was younger, and some NISE and some more TI there. So it's down to INFJ or INTP. So we'll continue to look for the direct versus informative, and also NISE statements especially. And then we'll see if we can get some evidence for progression versus outcome. Okay, last one here.
Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, sad, confused begins now.
Cillian, shall we have a chat?
Yeah.
We're here. We have microphones, there are cameras. We should promote your wonderful movie. Congratulations on Steve.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Fourth time on the podcast, by the way.
Is it?
So I feel really honored because, you know, this is not any actor's favorite thing to do the long form, but you're a scholar and a gentleman. Thank you for doing it, man.
I always enjoy our chats.
Thank you, man. I'll try to keep the streak running.
Yeah.
I will say, once you do the fifth one, I give them a free hat.
A free hat?
Yeah.
I have a big head, so
I'll get your size, your measurements after this. So we're for context, we're at the Toronto Film Festival. Your film premiered yesterday. I was privileged enough to be there. Look, I mean, this is a special one. This is a labor of love. They all are. But do you feel nerves at something like this at this point?
100%. Yeah, I get very nervous at them. But you know, I've always said this. I think that like a film isn't finished until an audience sees it.
Yeah.
And preferably in a theater in a dark space. And
yeah.
And I love TIFF. I think that the audiences here are real film fans, and they really come out. And it's a beautiful old theater, and you could feel it in the room. It felt good in the room.
Yeah. What did you learn about your movie for the first time from the audience?
Well, we never had those. We could never have had those laughs because we'd never played it in a room like that. So it was amazing to hear those laughs in places that you think you were like, oh shit, I didn't know that was going to happen, and that played because we're tackling a lot of kind of big stuff in there, but it's also hopefully there's some levity in there, and I think it felt like it played well.
Wow. Okay, so we're getting into some more clarity here. His whole answer, externalization, not talking about himself, which is what also the 60-minute interview guy said in the beginning. He doesn't talk about himself. SI users talk about themselves in some capacity if they're going to talk at any length. He's talking about the experience of the audience and the feedback. Looking like SE Inferior gets feedback when it collects the reactions and the experiences of other people. The film's not finished until the audience sees it. That can mean different things based on who's saying it. Then he goes to describe what he means is seeing what the experience, what the reactions are of the audience in this space, which is, you know, a theater, a dark theater where the experience of the film is raw, is not distracted by anything else. That is a bit more classic of an SE Inferior, externalizing, thinking about their experience, recognizing what the impact of the film is going to be on these people and their reactions. Not talking about himself, direct. He is giving a little bit of context about the experience, but the communication is still straightforward. He's not deviating from the question. He's just expounding on what the audience's experience should be like according to what he hopes.
For something like this, those breaks are kind of integral to kind of break the tension a little bit.
Yeah.
I was looking back, I think, and maybe we've talked about this. Was your first film festival, was it Cannes for Disco Pigs? Was that like your first festival experience?
I don't know if Disco Pigs went to Cannes. I think my first film festival experience. Disco Pigs went to Berlin.
That's what it was. Okay.
So I think I went to Berlin with Disco Pigs.
That must have been in a moment.
Yeah, like I was so young then, and it was amazing. The film played great there, and I remember just like meeting loads of people, and it was very kind of, for a young actor, just to meet loads of other actors and directors. I didn't really have the environment to do that before. I never experienced it. So yeah, that was like oh my goodness, that's like
26 years, I think, right? Like 99.
Yeah.
Okay. He's having to remember in relationship to the experience around him. That's extroverted sensing. He's having a hard time going back that far with probably the low introverted sensing. But once he's there, he's able to triangulate some kind of sense of a memory of the experience by the reference of the people around him and the context around him and the environment around him. That's how extroverted sensing users remember, through externalization, sensory triangulation, you could say.
let's not age ourselves.
I know.
We've both been doing this a minute. We're basically the same age, so I can say that. So yeah, no, I also love, I've been doing the film festival thing a while, and I also love that sometimes it bears fruit even. Like I was talking to like Paul Mescal and Jesse Buckley, who have this amazing new film, Hamnet.
Yes, I hear it's amazing.
And I know you're a Jesse fan. We've talked about Jesse before, and I'm sure you're a Paul fan as
I
well. But like I think Chloe Zhao like met them at Telluride, and like these things can happen, like where you're like in a community and you get a chance to actually cross paths with people.
Yeah, it's very rare, you know, particularly for actors, because you know, when you're not working, well, I spend long chunks of time not working, and I don't see anybody aside from my family. You know, I'm at home.
They're not going to cast you in anything.
I never get a
not
job.
One role.
No.
What use are they up to you?
I mean, I wash the dishes, but you know, so when you get to these festivals, you do get to meet people, and it's lovely, and you get to have chats, and you never get to see any films really, which is disappointing. Right. But just to be having conversations is wonderful. Yeah.
So okay, before we dive into Steve, can we just catch up for a second, because the last time we were talking was on the crazy Oppenheimer train. What an amazing run that was. Yeah. And I mean, if you'll indulge me for a second, just like that night you win the Oscar. Yeah. How were you feeling when, because there had been so much build up to that moment. Yeah. And there was talk, it was like probably going to be you if you believe the pundits, but maybe it was going to be Paul, who knew. Like, what were you feeling in that moment?
I have kind of sort of not great recall from that particular evening, other than really warm feeling, like an overwhelming feeling of kind of gratitude and sort of I don't know, absolute complete shock, you know? Yeah. Because no matter what has been going on for months, you don't ever think about it. You can't let yourself think about it. And whatever people might think, or like there is no sense of competitiveness. Like myself and Paul Giamatti were like so close. I think he's an extraordinary actor. And, you know, like it's not like that, you know? Right. But you just, it's... Seamus Heaney like won the Nobel Prize, and I'm not in any way making equivalence between myself and Seamus Heaney, but he described after it like as being sort of like a very benign avalanche, and that's I thought that's the most poetic description of it I can think of. You know.
Interesting. Okay, so this is a very important thing here. Again, he's asking about going back in time to his experience Oscar night, what that was like for him. He struggled to like trying to articulate a couple things that sort of answered the question in a way where he felt satisfied enough that he gave some detail, then immediately went to the externalization. Then he changed to the second, and I also think third person language, which is what SE users do to describe their own experience. Like, you know, like you don't think about it like this when you're in the situation, you think about it like that. He's not saying, well, here was my inner mental state when I was, you know, before the ceremony and then during and then after. That's more what SI users do. SE users do that second and third person switch when they're talking about themselves. That is a way to externalize their experience in a way that they can communicate it, because their SI is so low, particularly for an INJ. Okay, a little more direct, a little more to the point. A little bit informative there as he's going from describing this experience to Paul Giamatti, to the culture of non-competitiveness, and then relating it to the Nobel Prize winner, a benign avalanche. But again, that's just more externalization. He's trying to avoid going inward to his own experience, because that's not where his energy is. Probably Mr. SI Demon here. So I'm going to stop it there. The evidence seems direct. Very low SI. TIFE, NISE. The abstraction is there. The anticipation is there. This guy is an INFJ, I believe. Developed into his shadow functions, developed into his NE, Nemesis, FI critic, which is typical for INFJ creatives in an expressive form, usually. I'm surprised by this. If Cillian Murphy's an INFJ and his portrayal as Oppenheimer was as good as it was, and I read the book on Oppenheimer, it's a great book. That is pretty incredible, that performance from an INFJ to capture Oppenheimer's personality. So yeah, I think we're looking at an INFJ not an INTJ, not an INFP, and not an INTP. That was the other one, introverted abstract TIFE users. He's one of those two. So it looks like INFJ mostly, if you're going to compare INTP and INFJ side by side here, we don't have one example of him going deep into his own personal experience. INTPs will talk about their personal experience, especially as they get warmed up. He does not do that. He's consistently externalizing his experience. He doesn't want to share it. He doesn't even know how to grasp it. SI demons, it takes them such a while, and it's very energy sucking to try and remember the impact of a past moment on their personal experience and talk about that at length. He's not doing that. He is polite, but he's also direct and to the point. Looks like an SE inferior here, guys. So yeah, guys, I believe Cillian Murphy is an INFJ. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to know your type or get typed by me, you can get a session at my website, redemptivepsych.com. We'll sit down, get a session, and figure out your type. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.